So, we'll begin chapter 17 called as the divisions of faith. Arjuna inquired, O Krishna, what is the situation of those who do not follow the principle of scriptures? So Arjuna is asking, what about those people who do not follow the principles of scriptures but worship according to their own imagination? Are they in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance? Madhavendra, you want to read?
In the 4th chapter, no problem, my voice is really bad actually. What I do?
Pardon?
My voice
Oh, wait here, okay, you can read Madhavendra.
In the 4th chapter, 39th verse, it is said that a person faithful to a particular type of worship gradually becomes elevated to the stage of knowledge and attains the highest perfectional stage of peace and prosperity. In the 16th chapter, it is concluded that one who does not follow principles laid down in the scriptures is called an asura, demon. And one who follows the scriptural injunctions faithfully is called a deva or demigod. Now, if one with faith follows some rules which are not mentioned in the scriptural injunctions, what is his position? This doubt of Arjuna is to be cleared by Krishna. Are those who create some sort of God by selecting a human being and placing their faith in him, worshipping in goodness, passion, or ignorance? Do such persons attain the perfectional stage of life? Is it possible for them to be situated in real knowledge and elevate themselves to the highest perfectional stage? Do those who do not follow the rules and regulations of the scriptures, but who have faith in something and worship gods and demigods, and men attain success in their effort? Arjuna is putting these questions to Krishna.
So what are the points here? Bachelorhood gives you a lot of independence.
Absolutely.
Enjoy it.
golden.
Okay, what are the points here? So, present Prabhu, we are reading the first verse of 7th chapter. Of 17th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. If you don't have a copy, you can refer it from your neighbor. Okay, what are the points? Quickly let's discuss. Because we want to complete the chapter today. We are going to go fast. This course is going to move much faster than what we expected going forward. We want all of you to get your certificate soon.
Are we going to take us with you?
You are going to decide. You are going to take responsibility for learning in future. I am not going to take it anymore. Okay.
Basically, Arjuna is asking that, what will be the position of someone who actually creates their own injunction and, creates their own, God and follow, in passion or in ignorance or in mode of goodness, but they are not following the, scriptures. So in 16th chapter we discuss those are asuras or demons, but what will happen to them? So the main question is those kind of people who are doing this, what will happen to them?
Nothing else? Okay. Alright. So, as Prabhupada mentions, Lord Krishna concluded the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita by establishing a fact. What was the fact he established? Which you said in the recap, that those who follow Shastra with faith, not simply those who follow Shastra, those who follow Shastra with faith are divine, and those who don't have faith and then don't follow the Shastra are demonic. So now Arjuna is asking, what to speak of those people who know the scriptures? He is asking two questions in one sense. What to know of what of the people who know the scriptures, which maybe by they know the meaning of the scriptures, or they just know by heart the scriptures. So what about them? They may, knowing everything, they may still reject the Vedic injunctions. So that is possible. They may reject the Vedic injunctions. Or even after studying all these things, they may just know it from an academic point of view, but at the end of the day, their faith is in some other entity, is not in the scriptures. The faith is in some other process, which is not coming from the scriptures. What to speak of those people? So, since the discussion has begun from the banyan tree, Arjuna wants to know where in the banyan tree of the material world these people are situated. Such people are situated. What kind of people? Those who faithfully follow something, but not from the Shastra. For example, in Toronto, I had a colleague. It was in Toronto. I had a colleague who was a programmer, working in my team. So we used to go for lunch in the afternoons down. And one day he said, "Are aaj kuch kha nahi raha? You are not eating anything." "Nahi, aaj upvas hai." "Very good. Why?" "Bas aise hi." Just like that. So I couldn't understand. Just like that means what? So he said, no, just like that I fast on Tuesdays. I said, oh, is it? But there must be something which motivated. No, I heard that it's good. I said, it's good from who told it is good, and what is the good that it will bring? Those will be the two questions. He had no answers to that. Just generally it will be very good. That's what he said. So this is an example of someone who is faithful to a process, but who doesn't know why he is doing it, who is never started doing it because he knew the Shastras. He's just doing it because for the heck of doing it. So two classes of people are described here in this particular initial verses. Verse 2 to 4, which we are going to discuss, describe those people who give up Shastra whimsically. Out of laziness, they give up the Shastras. Or they have given it up because whatever the Shastras mentioned was very troublesome in their life. They read something, they said 4 regulatory principles. They said, "Ye sab nahi hone wala. I can't do all these things. Sorry." But yet, they faithfully worship the demigods. Do you know such people? Lots of people. Which country they come from? India. Giving up Shastra whimsically out of laziness, or because the worship which is mentioned in the Shastras is too troublesome, yet faithfully worshipping the demigods. Such people will say, "Boss, ये दारू वारू छूटने वाला नहीं है. I can't stay away from alcohol. Don't ask me not to eat meat, all these things. This is modern times, we have to go with the flow. But yes, I believe in being a good human being and I am not atheistic, so I worship somebody," they will say. Lord Shiva को मानता हूँ हम लोग, पूरा फैमिली मानता है. So हम लोग पूजा भी करते हैं. अभी बहुत ज़्यादा तो नहीं करना है ना, तो करते हैं. कुछ है, somebody is there. My heart goes out to this Lord. Similarly, your heart may go out to your Lord. सब एक ही बात है. At the end of the day, everyone has freedom of choice. अब सब अपने अपने मन की बात है. And they will give their own philosophy after that also. To tell you that you should not be fanatic. How everything is okay. As long as खुद के पैसे से दारू पियो, you drink with your own money, then what is the problem? And then you drink measured. So I am not troubling anyone by that. अभी किसी को मारा तो नहीं, किसी को गाली तो नहीं दी मैंने, अपने पैसे से पी, fine. और कंट्रोल में रहता हूँ, मंदिर भी जाता हूँ. So it should be a good mix. Don't be surprised. I'm not telling a humorous story. I'm telling actually the dialogues which were told by one person in my family. He said, we have to move with the times, he said. In his words, ಕುಡಿಕೆಂಬುದು ಕುಡಿಕರು, पूजा पढ़ना पूजा पढ़ो. जब पीता है खूब पियो, जब पूजा करते हो डट के पूजा करो. excel in whatever you do. Man se karo, jo bhi karo. Enjoy what you do. That's what life is. So this is the kind of philosophy. Right? They will come. Okay? And then people will go to some Ayyappan Malai here, and for 15 days everything is very peaceful. After that come and drink. Instead of 1 bottle, 3 bottles. Because now you are in Vipralamba, you are in mood of separation. Abhi bahut ho gaya abhi, austerity, right? So they will come back and start that. Some people actually take cigarette only. They take that. Thoda. They will do that also. So there is completely everything is concocted. Everything is imagination. Some people simply do it because they are guilty. They feel that some calamity may befall me if I don't worship, because somewhere they have seen in their family, somebody has scared them. Like I told in the earlier classes, in the childhood, in Tamil it is said, Umachi Kanda Kutto. Means Bhagwan tera aapko pierce kar dega if you don't do something which is pleasing him. Now you don't know who is that Umachi, you don't know who is that Bhagwan, right? So better you please everyone. Thoda kisi ko to pakad ke rakho, please. Please catch one of them. And then, so that then you know that if any problem comes, you say, look, I am praying to you, kya ho raha hai in my life? I am praying to you. You don't do anything for me. It's like that. You have someone to blame. And you have someone so that you feel good about your own sins. So that your mind doesn't eat you, that you are sinning. So this is a very complex nature which we have. So, give up Shastra whimsically out of laziness or because the required worship was very troublesome, yet faithfully worship the demigods. This is 2 and 4. Verses 5 and 6, in contrast, describe not those who have whimsically given up, but who have genuinely given up. This is somewhat a better category. A little bit more integrity is there in this. They say, I don't believe in God, forget it. I am not going to do all these things. So there is no Vedas, who has seen? You are saying word of God, who has seen? So I am giving it up. I can't see any logic here. Logical minds will give it up. So Arjuna is asking in this, Oh Krishna, what is the situation of those who do not follow the principle of scriptures but worship according to their own imagination? Are they in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance? Let's see what Lord Krishna has to say. Shri Bhagavan Vacha. The Lord says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, according to the modes of nature acquired by the embodied soul, one's faith can be of 3 kinds. So what is faith dependent on? What do you understand from this sentence?
Faith depends.
What? Faith depends on?
The mode of nature.
That's the key point. That's the key point throughout this section. If we understand that point, we have understood this section. Okay? The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, according to the modes of nature acquired by the embodied soul, one's faith can be of 3 kinds: in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance. Now, hear about this. Raji Mataji, you want to hear? Sorry, you want to read this? A little bit faster.
Those who know the rules and regulations of the scripture, but out of laziness or ignorance give up following these rules and regulations, are governed by the modes of material nature. According to their previous activities in the modes of goodness, passion, or ignorance, they acquire a nature which is of a specific quality. The association of the living entity with the different modes of nature has been going on perpetually. Since the living entity is in contact with the material nature, he acquires different types of mentality according to his association with the material nature. But this nature can be changed if one associates with the bona fide spiritual master and abides by his rules and the scriptures. Gradually one can change his position from ignorance to goodness or from passion to goodness. The conclusion is that blind faith in a particular mode of nature cannot help a person become elevated to the perfectional state. One has to consider things carefully, with intelligence, in the association of a bona fide spiritual master. Thus one can change his position to a higher mode of nature.
So what are the points here?
Guru Ashray.
Directly Guru Ashray. First, association of devotees. First, association of devotees. In one sense, that is also Guru Ashray. Even Reading Srila Prabhupada's books before you become a devotee is also in one sense Guru Vaishnava. And acting upon that, come to the temple. So in one sense you are right. I am silent today. No points are coming out of this section. Alright. So, faith comes from Shuddha Sattva. Faith comes from pure consciousness. Pure faith comes from pure consciousness. Which means one is beyond the three modes of material nature. So 100% faith in God will only come when will manifest when we are free from the influence of the three modes of material nature. Otherwise, our faith will always be having that coloring. We can say today that all of us are devotees. Some of us are first initiated, some of us are second initiated also. But can we say 100% that we have faith? Pure faith. Pure faith. Like that. Why? This question can be answered only when we are tested in material life. When material life gives us very hard tests, then our faith is tested. When material life is giving us success after success, our faith will never be tested. When it gives slaps and beatings, then the faith is tested at that time. When it gives repeated slaps only without any respite or without any break. Sometimes when you get slapped, you need a break also from slap. But it doesn't give you that break. It slaps you further. And then you say, Abhito, I'm just gone. And then it gives you one more kick after that. And then you say, Krishna, you exist. This is the token reaction. You remember all the philosophy that you have learned, the basics that you learned in Krishna Consciousness. And then you try to apply that. At that time, if we surpass, then yes, we have faith, we can say. Not when job is going well, house is going well, mortgage is being paid, health is good, success is coming, recognition is coming, right? Generally everything is going on nice, faith is not tested there. Then you will say, Prabhu, Krishna's mercy, सब कुछ ठीक चल रहा है, भगवान की दुआ से. Can we say, कुछ ठीक नहीं चल रहा है, Krishna's mercy, Prabhu? Can we say like that? That's the difference. So the faith is tested in trying circumstances.
So Prabhu,
at that time we come to know what is the mode of material nature that we are in. Yes,
sorry. So one is slapped without any respite, so you're continuously being tested and tested. Can that person actually eventually might fall down too, because he's going to the shelter of Krishna all the time and he's constantly praying, obviously he's not above the material modes yet, he still has to survive. And he's constantly, being tested. Eventually he might lose the faith as well.
Possible.
So what is the solution, even though he's associating, he's doing everything, but because, the one's faith might become firm, even non-devotees, they go somewhere, even for demigods, and suddenly, they achieve what they wanted. But if one without any respite, constantly being slapped, what happens? This is...
So there are two situations. One situation is of a pure devotee. Let's take Puratalvar. Puratalvar is what? Puresh, no? Puresh. Let's take his example. He lost his eyes, no?
Yes.
His eyes were gouged out. If our eyes were gouged out while serving the spiritual master, how many of us will have faith in Krishna? They remove your eyes. Nikal diya bahar. Like that. And you have left all your home, hearth, wealth just to serve the Lord and to serve your spiritual master. And you lose your eyes also. Now is this a good example for everyone? Where faith is tested to the extreme. Like that. And then Lord Vishnu comes and gives darshan. Right? So, kicks after kicks are given to, on one side, to a very pure devotee, so that we get an example of what is tenacity in bhakti. An example of tenacity in bhakti, resilience in bhakti. So on one hand we get that spectrum. On the other hand, common occurrence. That's an uncommon occurrence. A common occurrence is devotees who are offensive by nature. What the scenario which you portrayed is applicable to devotees usually who commit offenses after offenses in bhakti, who are offending devotees, especially Paramahansas, senior devotees, pure devotees, who are offending. They will glide down, because the Lord says, I cannot pardon a person who is offending my devotee. So even in the congregation, you keep offending. The more we offend, the more our faith will become less. That's the way Krishna takes you out of his circle. Ja, bahar ja, maja nahi aaya tere se. Go out. Like that. That is when. But that's a reward in one sense. You see, okay, you're so miserable, why be in devotee association? Go. Don't be inside and keep finding faults with the process, with the devotees, especially with people who are sincerely serving me. So you have to be very careful. So to such a person, then it's very unfortunate. But there is one overriding principle. Lord has also said, please understand that my devotee will never perish. At some point in time, the person will come back. No doubt about that. But we have to carefully guard against Vaishnava offense. Is it clear?
Yeah,
Otherwise, our faith will get shaken.
I was asking Gurujan Prabhu the same question. I've written down the verse from the Bhagavatam. He says, if we're continuously being slapped, so that was the question, how he can actually, remove all this misfortune, because I'm talking about the misfortune you're getting in the material world all the time. Obviously you need to survive, you need to, do whatever you need to do. So Gurujan Prabhu and so this one verse, basically if you hear the power of the Lord, I forgot the actual verse number, and if you hear the power, generally hear without being envious or without any offenses, if you hear the Lord's power, or you just chant without any offense, I will personally enter in your heart, I will personally enter and remove all your misfortune.
Correct. See, what the situation you are talking about is a sinful person. What the situation I am talking about is an offensive person. There is a difference between pap and aparad. This is very true for a sinful person. For example, I lost my way and I am drinking now. I started drinking and eating meat. That is sin. Okay. Sin is easily corrected in Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness can burn away sins like this. What does it say? What is that verse? Kechit kevalaya bhaktya vasudeva parayana agham dunvanti katsanena niharam eva maskara. It can burn the weeds of sinful action in such a way that they will never sprout. But aparad, what do you do about aparad? Aparad nahi paritrana. Tomasthane aparadhe nahi paritra. Right? Tomasthane aparadhe. Unto the feet of the spiritual master, if an offense is done, nahi paritran, there is nothing. Nobody can do it. Right? So it is of those people who are relegated to lower levels of faith because of offensive mentality. Is it clear? So sin, aparad. And then example. There are different scenarios here of understanding. Okay. So, faith comes from Shuddha Sattva. Whereas if we are maintaining that consciousness, what Gurujan Prabhu is saying, without offense, taking the process, doing the basics nicely, then we will find that generally our faith is manifesting. So in any situation of life, if we are able to do the basics of Krishna consciousness, what are the basics of Krishna consciousness? Chanting attentively, chanting all the rounds in the morning. I was hearing a class by Govind Prabhu this week, early this week. He said that one of the temple presidents, one very senior devotee, Prabhupada disciple, he said, it was very nice. I wish I could repeat whatever he said, but it was something like this. He said that you can be empowered to do everything You will be empowered to do great things by the Lord if you simply sit and chant in one sitting in the morning. In one sitting you will do it. Then you will be empowered to do great things. Just imagine, in one sitting. The question is, this is the basic of Krishna consciousness. Are we able to do this basic every day? We have to ask ourselves. The answer is yes, no. Sometimes we are able to do, but always are we able to do? Day in and day out, in any situation, are we able to wake up in the morning, sit in front of the Lord, chant attentively all our 16 rounds? At least, I am not saying chanting attentively, endeavoring to chant attentively all our 16 rounds. Because that endeavor is what Lord sees. Lord doesn't see the result, He sees the endeavor. Are we endeavoring to chant attentively every? We may not even be able to get up some mornings, but are we endeavoring to get up every morning? Sometimes there is no desire also, no?
We can.
Are we endeavoring to get up in the morning? If we endeavor and we can't, the alarm has rung, I am not able to get up, good. Are we setting the alarm? Because sometimes, after some time, we don't even set the alarm. Oh, kya hai? Oh, bajega, oh, kali bili bili kara hoga. 6 baje shift kar dete alarm. You know? It's like that. So that is not endeavoring for perfection. That is slackening the principles. Right? By slackening the principles, we will not go anywhere. Because we can only be as good as what we benchmark. If the benchmark is 6 o'clock, we will be good, we may be 6:30. At best, 100% performance, 6 o'clock. It can never be 4:30. Is it? So it's like that. So the basics of Krishna consciousness. The more we do the basics properly, faith will develop. Most of the situations, when material life gives us a kick, we know it is because we are not doing some basics properly of Krishna consciousness, especially for devotees. You may think that अरे वो तो भक्ति नहीं है, उसको वो भी तो नहीं कर रहा है कृष्णा कॉन्शियसनेस, उसको वो किक क्यों नहीं मिला? मेरा ही जॉब गया. कितने लोग हैं who are atheistic rascals, who are all vice presidents in companies. You know, they are moving from strength to strength. Even before they think, 10 companies are giving them job offers. I am a devotee, I am not getting. You can think like that. Does the mind think like that? It thinks like that. It is possible. Right? Because what is the difference between that guy and us? He is enjoying the results of his previous karma. Whereas for you, your father is guiding you personally now. He is telling you, you are under my jurisdiction, abhi your karma sab chhod de. You are a more pious person than that fellow. Actually, if I put you there, if he is the vice president, you will be the chief executive officer. Your karma is like that. But unfortunately, तुम उस दायरे में नहीं हो अभी. You are not in my external energy now. You have come under the internal energy. So it doesn't apply. It doesn't matter what pious activities you have. Okay. Now you are under my correction facility. So either वो pious activity को quote मत करो. Don't quote those things. That I helped last. I gave so much donation for human welfare. Now I am not getting money. It has got nothing to do with that. Bhakti has got nothing to do with that. That is different. This is different. Right? Here, the Lord is acting personally to detach us. He will give a very tough situation, and when you think about that tough situation, ये क्यों हुआ है? Then you will realize that मेरे कारण, like that. It's me. Nobody else. It's me. Because I am not doing some basics properly. Or maybe I am doing some basics properly, but he wants to increase my virakti. Virakti will not come with failures. Has any virakti come with success? Huh? Virakti comes only with failures. So, an astute devotee, a wise devotee is one who is able to identify. One is able to see the hand of the Lord in his failures. That is an astute devotee. And the devotee who is not able to see that is not so wise. बहुत दूर नहीं जाएगा. Like that. Okay. So according to one's faith, so what we were talking about is faith comes from Shuddha Sattva. It manifests according to the modes that dictate our nature. Accordingly, one naturally gets attracted to a specific object and the method of worship. Jaisa faith, vaisa worship. So that is what verse 2 talks about, 3 and 4 also talk about. O son of Bharata, according to one's existence under the various modes of nature, one evolves a particular kind of faith. The living beings is said to be of a particular faith according to the modes he has acquired. So we have covered whatever Prabhupada is writing in the purport in one sense. We have covered in our discussion. One second, let me read one more verse and then I'll talk. Men in the mode of goodness worship the demigods, those in the mode of passion worship the demons, and those in the mode of ignorance worship the ghosts and spirits. Okay. What is your question?
Third verse in purport, Prabhupada says that originally faith comes from the word Shraddha is very similar. Shraddha faith originally comes out of mode of goodness. So when you say that mode of goodness, Prabhupada mentions the mode of pure goodness, is it?
Okay, good point. I was going to discuss it in the class that you asked. So in many places, yes. In some places, no. Okay. When I was studying these purports, I got the same question. Sometimes Prabhupada says mode of goodness, but actually he is meaning mode of pure goodness. Does it make sense? So the answer is yes. So you have to really discern where he is meaning that word. I had the same question when I read.
In second chapter, Prabhupada explains in Riverside, the flight is unflinching trust in something sublime. Sublime is can be only in the transcendent kingdom. Because goodness still is missed. It's still not pure. So the Shuddha supplies the pure goodness. So it's unflinching trust in something sublime.
Correct.
Correct. Definition of faith.
Correct. Where did you read this? I remember having read it.
241. Second verse.
Yes, very familiar statement. Okay, so now Lord is starting to describe what different types of people, how they are
Worshipping
whom they worship. He is describing different aspects of a jiva's life. So what are the different aspects of a jiva's life that is described here? One is who they worship, who they fast for, why do they fast, what kind of foods people eat, what kind of sacrifices people do, what kind of austerities people perform of the body, of the mind, of speech, what kind of charity people give. So all that is described now. So in one sense, it's a philosophically not a very difficult section. So we can run through it fast, but you will have to read at home. But we will cover everything, whatever has been written here. But still it is better you read for your own purification. Because there is no point in going through every purport. It's not difficult section, like the previous section that we did. So we'll skim through. Those who undergo severe austerities and penances, not recommended in the scriptures, performing them out of pride and egoism, who are impelled by lust and attachment, who are foolish and who torture the material elements of the body, as well as the super soul dwelling within, are known to be as demons. Okay. So let's
how can you torture the super soul? The Sanskrit word also says that, I'm just wondering, we have seen torturing the body. But,
suppose I give you a house, my house on rent, and you wreck that house. Will I not feel bad? Especially if I am also living in the same house and ऊपर का खोली आपको दिया है मैंने.
Yes, but is it related to super soul?
Super soul is a resident in this body. You are also resident in this body.
Okay.
खोली दिया है ना? Like that, something like that. It's the closest example.
Okay.
And the body belongs to him.
Huh?
The body belongs.
That's why I said I am a owner and you are rented. Body belongs to him. You are rented because of you wanted to live in Malabar Hill. I don't know, Malabar Hill, I don't know whether you know. In your language, Anna Nagar. You wanted to live in Post Garden. Okay. So you have been given a house in Post Garden. Chennai and you have wrecked it like that. So you have got a body based on your desire. I have given you this house to stay in this area and you wrecked it completely. You didn't use it for that purpose. So the general points that are coming out across in this section are that those who are neglectful of Vedic authority can never be delivered from their bad fate. I'll read some of these points and then we will have an open discussion on this. Okay? I'll just go through some of these points, which are simple, and then we will have a discussion. Demonic persons are led by the desire for sense gratification, which again we discussed, not a new point. They concoct their own methods, okay, and abuse their bodies. So for such persons, bad fate is unavoidable. That's what the Lord is saying. So the summum bonum of verses 4, 5, 6 in one sense is that those who worship yakshas and rakshasas according to their natural faith may receive the mercy of Vedic authorities. They may receive, and then by developing some faith in the revealed scriptures, their demonic nature may subside. Why does someone worship the demons and out of ignorance? So if you are genuinely ignorant, then you can be saved. A person who is genuinely asleep can be woken up. Right? That's what this is the closest analogy we can use. If you are genuinely asleep, you can be woken up. So people who are worshipping all these people because of ignorance can be saved because they may come in contact with the absolute truth. Do you know any examples of such people? If not, we can look at the mirror. You will get that. Tomorrow morning you can do that. Okay. But those who worship demigods are factually in the mode of goodness. So by the mercy of saintly association, it will be easier for them to develop faith in higher scriptural authority. So there are two types of people. People who worship the demonic personalities out of ignorance, they can be saved by Vedic explanations. But people who are already worshipping the demigods, which means they have some allegiance to the Vedas. So for them it's much easier. So that's why you will find people who are usually involved in demigod worship, usually it's very faster for them to take to Krishna consciousness than people who have never done that. So again, going back, Radhesham Prabhu in his book called as Essence of Bhagavad Gita, he gives example. He says that all the paintings of this material world are nothing but a mixture of three colors. How true? Three basic colors are there, and there are infinite number of paintings. Mona Lisa, and infinite number of painters doing whatever. Who are the painters? Michelangelo, Picasso, whatever you talk, right? So many. What is the Kushwant Singh? So many painters are there. Artists. They have painted innumerable things. But everything ultimately is a combination of. So like that, so you can imagine how many types of faiths can be there in people. Because each faith is driven by a specific combination of the three modes of material nature. So jitne the various manifestations of color, various manifestations of faith, that's why every individual is different in this material world. So we are trying to bring all of them into pure faith in God. So Prabhupada says that you can usually judge the quality of a person's faith by observing who he is worshipping and his preferences in food eating. Simple question, no? Somebody will come and say, "Hum Bhagwan ko bahut mante hain," and then he's chewing on chicken in the morning. Then you immediately understand. He doesn't have to say anything. I like God. We are all very God-fearing family. Going on. So, but he doesn't have to say anything more. Or he has a cigarette in his hand and then he's saying that, yeah, I know someone is up there. I have faith. Sab theek kar rahe hain. And he flicks his cigarette like this. He doesn't have to. He may be a fantastic speaker, but just the cigarette in his hand speaks everything about his faith. Like that. But you cannot say that he does not have faith. Can you say he does not have faith? He has faith, but his faith is right now colored. That's why the cigarette in his hand. It doesn't mean that a person who is wearing dhoti kurta, who has given up cigarette and who is looking pakka, is having 100% faith. Because there is something which is going on in the mind also. As non-devotees, I shouldn't use the word non-devotees in one sense. Prior to our devotional service, devotional life, we were less conscious of our sins, in one sense. Oh, sorry, not sins, I would say. Let me put it this way. We were less conscious of our image. After coming to devotional service, we are more conscious of our image. Before coming to devotional service, we were less conscious of our image. After coming to devotional service, we are more conscious of our image. The wife may feel like yelling at the husband. Right? Earlier she might have done that. He doesn't care. मैं नहीं था चोपड़ा जी को कुछ भी सोचने दो. घर का मामला है. But now she will not yell. Why? अरे आप तो we are congregation में क्या होगा? People will saying that इन लोगों को basics भी नहीं पता है Krishna consciousness. Like that. How we will be respected in the congregation. Like that. And the husband will behave like that. Everything is little bit controlled. Though the mind wants to do something, it wants to yell, but it will not do that. Or we do so many things to cover up our frailties and present ourselves very advanced, like that. Correct, no? So you cannot say just because dhoti kurta hai, tilak hai, so this person how simple he is. Simple to rahenge bahar. Everyone is very simple outside. Everyone is honest, straightforward, talking the right things. Outside everybody is like that.
Divine.
Pardon? Outside everyone will manifest their divine nature. But inside kya? What is going on inside the Kurukshetra of the mind? Like that. Where all the mind is taking us. So that is the test of our purification. Like that. So we can usually, but externally, we are talking about Aam Admi. Okay? You can generally get a good assessment by knowing who they worship and what they eat. Like that. Now, verses 7 to 22 is what we will be reading now. I know we have never done a class like this. We spend a lot of time in it, but we'll read everything and then we'll discuss. Because responsibility of learning for this chapter, this is the easiest chapter probably. At least personally, I think this is the easiest chapter. I'm not saying it's easy to follow the principles recommended in this chapter. That is the most difficult. But philosophically, this is not one of the most difficult things to understand. That's what I mean. So don't give other connotations to what I'm saying. Number 7. Even the food each person prefers is of 3 kinds, according to the 3 modes of material nature. The same is true of sacrifices, austerity and charity. Now here are the distinctions between them. And now till verse 22, description is given. Foods dear to those in the mode of goodness increase the duration of life, purify one's existence and give strength, health, happiness and satisfaction. Such foods are juicy, fatty, wholesome and pleasing to the heart. Foods that are too bitter, too sour, salty, hot, pungent, dry and burning are dear to those in the mode of passion. Have you ever told your wife, थोड़ा और तीखा डालने का था, मजा नहीं आया, बहुत ब्लैंड हो जाते हैं. Foods that are too bitter, too sour, salty, hot, pungent, dry and burning are those in the mode of passion. So we can immediately identify which food mode, and nobody needs to tell anything. Such foods cause distress, misery and disease. Foods prepared more than 3 hours before being eaten, food that is tasteless, decomposed and putrid, and food consisting of remnants. Now this is not uchishta. There is a difference. I can explain, people who know Tamil, there is a difference between yechal and uchishtam. Right? You know what is yechal? Yechal means, in Hindi mein bolta hu na. There is a difference between jhootha and uchishta. Jhootha is not jhoot. It's not a jha. It's ja. Jhootha. Jhootha means muchi. So this is that remnants, which is muchi. Yeah. For example, if a sinful person has left a plate. Uchishta. Uchishta means remnants. Remnants of Guru Maharaj, for example. Uchishta of Vaishnava. And untouchable, food prepared more than 3 hours before being eaten, food that is tasteless, decomposed and putrid, and food consisting of remnants and untouchable things is dear to those in the mode of darkness. For example, 2 people are very close friends. हम लोग एक ही कप से दारू पीते हैं. First of all, the substance is contaminated. On top of that, उसका झूठा है. फिर उसका रेमनेंट ये पी रहा है. फिर इसका रेमनेंट वो पी रहा है. And then they say the mill बांट के दोनों बैठते हैं. Like that. No, दोस्ती. This is an example of friendship. We drink from the same glass. But actually, this is the mode of ignorance. There is nothing to be proud of it. So there is nothing divine about this. Right?
What about kids' food?
What about?
Leftover.
Kids Maha.
Yeah, prasadam can never be contaminated. Prabhupada writes that. Of sacrifices, the sacrifice performed according to the directions of scriptures as a matter of duty by those who desire no reward is of the nature of goodness. We will come to all this. We are going to discuss. So don't think that Bhagara. Not like that. We are going to come back and discuss. But I'm just going through this so that we can discuss in one shot. But the sacrifice performed for some material benefit or for the sake of pride, O chief of the Bharatas, you should know to be in the mode of passion. Any sacrifice performed without regard for the directions of scriptures, without distribution of prasadam, spiritual food, without chanting of Vedic hymns and remunerations to the priests, and without faith is considered to be in the mode of ignorance. Austerity of the body consists in worship of the Supreme Lord. So we have talked about sacrifices. Worship, we talked about faith, we talked about food, we talked about sacrifices, we are talking about austerity. Austerity of the body first. Austerity of the body consists in worship of the Supreme Lord, the Brahmanas, the spiritual master, and superiors like the father and the mother, and in cleanliness, simplicity, celibacy, and non-violence. Austerity of speech consists in speaking words that are truthful, pleasing, beneficial, and not agitating to others, and also in regularly reciting the Vedic literatures. And satisfaction, simplicity, gravity, self-control, and purification of one's existence are the austerities of the mind. This threefold austerity, which is austerity of the body,
BMW.
and
Body, mind and body.
BMW. So this threefold austerity performed with transcendental faith. So it's not enough to perform austerity. This threefold austerity performed with
Faith.
transcendental faith. Okay. By men, not expect, don't say why not women. Don't read too much. This threefold austerity performed with transcendental faith by men, not expecting material benefits, but engaged only for the sake of the Supreme, is called austerity in goodness. Penance performed out of pride and for the sake of gaining respect, honor and worship is said to be the mode of passion. It is neither stable nor permanent. Penance performed out of foolishness with self-torture or to destroy or injure others is said to be the mode of ignorance. Charity given out of duty without expectation of return at the proper place and time and to a worthy person is considered to be the mode of goodness. We are going to discuss all this. But charity performed with the expectation of some return or with a desire for fruitive results or in a grudging mood is said to be charity in the mode of passion. And charity performed at an impure place or an improper time to an unworthy person or without proper attention and respect is said to be in the mode of ignorance. So let's discuss right from verse 7 to 22. That's what we read in one shot. We'll go one by one. So let's come to worship. So I'm going to give you these notes. So, but still it's good if you write your own notes with your own realizations. It's always better. But I've prepared a table which I can share with you. I've prepared it today. It's a table which talks about the aspect which Lord Krishna is talking. Mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance and transcendental. So it's a quick snapshot and I've captured everything that Prabhupada said in bullet points here. So that should suffice for your notes in one sense. Now we can discuss. We can participate if you like. So worship in the mode of goodness. So what is worship? What are some of the characteristics in worship in mode of goodness? People in mode of goodness worship the demigods. Okay? However, their worship is not without purpose always. So their bhakti is called as Mishri Bhakti. It's mixture. There is devotion. There is some devotion. There is some need for benefits. So it's Mishri Bhakti. In one sense, they are not worshipping a wrong channel. Does it make sense? It's okay. You go to the demigod, it's okay. You can't say, oh, why you went to Lord Ganesh and worshipped him? To remove obstacles in our life, it's okay. It's not bad. Right? So going to demigods is okay. It's acceptable as per the scriptures. But it's not the highest bhakti. It's not beyond the three modes of material nature. That's all we have to understand. But it's not wrong. So with purpose, through right channels. Going to demigods. Prabhupada writes that impersonalists are also in the mode of goodness. They also worship the... In fact, impersonalists are in a different, slightly different... the worship is slightly different. Prabhupada says they do this, what is... I don't know whether it's called as... I think it's called Pancha Upasana or something like that. They worship 5 deities. Who are the 5 deities? Shiva, Vishnu is one, I know that.
Vishnu,
Then
Shiva,
Parvati,
Ganesh,
Sun,
Surya.
Adi.
So they worship these 5. So impersonalists are also in the mode of goodness. So they want to become that which they worship. But still they may not follow onion garlic. Their worship is pretty sattvic. They don't want to harm the insects. They don't eat meat. They don't smoke. They don't drink. They live simple. Everything is common. Follow 4 regulative principles. Everything is common. Like that. So mode of goodness. So still so close yet so far. But not mode of transcendence. There is one, Gaurang Prabhu in one of the class, he says that they have a prayer which says Nirakar Tomara Charana Dekhi. Nirakar मतलब पहले ही तुम बोल दिया you don't have a form. उसके बाद तुम्हारा चरण देखिए, तुम्हारा चरण दिखाओ. अरे फॉर्म ही तुम नहीं है बोलता है. Then you are saying show your feet. So their prayer is self-defeating. What do you call that? Oxymoron? What do you call that in figure of speech in English? Something which is exactly the opposite, contradicts. Oxymoron is it? No? Okay. Yes? Don't know? Oxymoron. It's almost like that. Nirakar Tomar Charandik. It doesn't make sense. So this is mode of, sorry, I'm not saying that is mode of goodness, but I'm saying that generally their external manifestation is mode of goodness. Their practices are generally can be called as mode of goodness. So demigod worshippers are also in the same category. Mode of passion. Who do they worship? They worship demonic personalities. There is a difference between demons and ghosts. Right? Demonic personality. So Prabhupada writes an example of Hitler. So in World War II, Prabhupada writes that one businessman in Calcutta, I believe, worshipped Hitler. Why? Because he was in the arms business. What business was he? Black market business. Kala Danda he was doing. And because the World War II happened, his Kala Danda improved and he made a lot of money. Therefore, uske liye Bhagwan jisne sab karaya like that. So people thrive on war, and therefore their heroes are also those who create these wars, like that. So you never know why you worship someone. Demons, or they worship powerful men. So powerful men, powerful women, they are worshipped by people who are in the mode of passion. If you see people also successful people, if you see, if you interview them, who's your role model, sir? They will not say, Rupa Goswami is my role model. what are they likely to say? Oh, my role model is Bill Gates, Steve Jobs. Mostly you will find these people in the mode of passion, they always have these role models here and there, like that. People in mode of goodness, people in mode of ignorance, who do they worship? Ghosts and spirits. Prabhupada says worship of ghosts and spirits. Sexual service, this also Prabhupada mentions. This is also in mode of ignorance. Yeah.
Can you say that in particular mode, it says there are gradations? For example, can we say that in particular mode, it says there are gradations? In the sense, more in mode of goodness and less in mode of goodness?
Yeah. We are also there, all of us. For example, when I don't want to wake up for Mangalarati, to that extent I am in the mode of ignorance. Right?
I mean, prove down. He's talking about.
Sorry.
So for example, what I meant is, a person is worshipping a demigod is in mode of goodness.
Yeah.
And an impersonalist who wants to become that is also in mode of goodness.
Yes.
But a person who is worshipping the demigod genuinely is better than the one who wants to become that, even though they both are in mode of goodness.
So 70%.
He is a better what?
Not better, but in.
He is better in what sense?
More. Because I think he doesn't want to...
Are you saying he is more closer to Krishna consciousness? In that sense, he is better, you are saying? What is the better?
Krishna consciousness, just the impact of mode of goodness. Because if somebody wants to become that, like Prabhupada mentions impersonal, Mayavadis are also in mode of goodness.
Yes.
They are worshipping, say, Parvati or Shiva, whoever. To become that, so that motive itself is very horrible.
Yeah.
So, but still it is classified as mode of goodness. But a person who is genuinely worshipping Lord Shiva is also in mode of goodness. But he is in a much better, what I can say, I'm asking this correct or gradation.
Yeah, there is a gradation. I mean, in terms, see, for us, what? For devotees, gradation is what? Gradation is how closer they are to Krishna consciousness. That is a gradation.
So that is in pure goodness, pure Shuddha Sattva.
Yeah, so they are, yeah. So people who are...
understanding is correct.
Yeah.
Within each mode also there can
be different variations. Yeah. For example, there can be a poet also in a mode of goodness.
Although atheist is a mode of ignorance, or not even in any of those things.
He is a mode of ignorance.
He doesn't worship. He doesn't worship. But anyway, he should be classified in either of these.
Huh? There is nothing like he is beyond the three modes of material nature or the others. There is nothing like that. It's a new philosophy.
No, like Shuddha Sattva, either Shuddha Tamasika.
Shuddha Tamas. You can say like that.
Because just today I was interested.
Unalloyed mode of ignorance. Yeah.
You are Anantamurti, right?
You are Anantamurti.
Yeah, he is a devoted writer, and he is from a Brahmin family actually. But then he is a complete atheist. He even went to the extent of urinating on the deities. He said, "There is no God, I don't believe it," and then to that extent he is there. So I mean, it's beyond the mode of ignorance also, right? And even lot of awards, Padma Bhushan, Dhanapit Award, and
State has declared a holiday.
state holiday in Karnataka today. I mean, he is such a well-known person.
Who is that?
But he does this. So it's beyond ignorance also.
Imagine the state or the people running the state.
So people in the mode of passion we were discussing, who are worshipping powerful men, right? These people worship with ulterior motives for some political end. Like that. They may worship for so many reasons. For example, people who worship demigods, they also have some motives. But their motive may be to attain heavenly planets or something like that. But people who worship in the mode of passion, their motive will be to... Sometimes you worship someone, okay, and you tell them that you worship them so much because you want some favors from them. So that is possible.
You are saying material, well, I am still not getting the classification.
Mode of goodness also people worship. Mode of passion also people worship. Mode of goodness people worship demigods. Mode of passion they worship great personalities.
Difference of the benefits. I mean, both of them are working for.
Both of them want something from the personality who they are worshipping.
What is the difference between them?
One is a mode of goodness, one is a mode of passion. That is the difference between both of them. Yeah. So people who are in mode of goodness still have some connection to Krishna in one sense. At least by worshipping those demigods, slowly they may get purified. But people who are in the mode of passion, who are worshipping mundane personalities, especially people like Hitler they are worshipping, they have no chance of purification. Okay. So that is about worship. Then we talk about fasting. So people, fasting is also can be in the different modes of nature. But Prabhupada has specifically talked about, in his purports, he has talked about people who are in the mode of passion. If you study the purport, he has not talked about people who are fasting in the mode of ignorance. There is not much mention of that. Okay. So I will talk about what Prabhupada has written. So Prabhupada says that such fasting is disturbance. They cause actually disturbance to everyone. They cause inconvenience to the body as well as the super soul, which is residence inside the body, which was Jagan Prabhu's question some time back. It just is useless labor in that sense. Unnecessary inconvenience to yourself as well as others. And it is an insult to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such fasting is an insult. Gaurahari Prabhu also told me this time, he says no counselor can replace the role of a wife to a husband. No counselor can replace the role of a parent to a child. Right? Correct? I have to be parent to child. I cannot say, "Aap to counselor ho jara, Aditya ke liye father ban jao." But what kind of this? I am the father. Only I can be father to him. Right? So therefore, sometimes playing God is insulting God also. Not too much. Sometimes you have to let Krishna do certain things in people's lives, and we only act as instruments. We should never forget, even when we are cultivating devotees, that we are, again, for all Bhaktivedanta self-servants. We are not Bhagavan. We cannot take his role. We should not try to take his role and insult him like that. We can only take the role of servant of his servant. We can facilitate. So therefore, if Krishna has a desire, extending the same principle, if Krishna has a desire for a particular village, Lord Nityananda cursed one village, may this whole village have leprosy. Because, right? It happened. This is the Lord's desire. You can't do anything after that. You may do thousands of andolans for that. You can't do anything. However, it is still possible to revert if there is one pure devotee who comes on the scene, who plays the Brahminical role of doing the Brahminically right activities, and who has a Kshatriya layer who is fighting under the Brahminical instructions with the demons of society, even if it means the leadership, right? Then it has got. But where Krishna's hand is not there, where divinity is not present, then simply hard work, efforts, right motives will still not yield any results, right? Your motives are right, but your process is, but you are yourself going wrong somewhere else. You don't have faith in the Supreme Lord. You don't know who is that. You think you are the doer. So that is arrogance. So arrogance can come in many, many forms. It's not that someone who is a missionary cannot be arrogant. Someone who is a missionary, who is working very hard, not talking arrogant, is not arrogant. You can't even say that. Arrogance simply means you think you are playing God. That's enough. That's enough to be an insult. So when I was looking at this, thinking about this insult, I was thinking how it is, and then I was just, this is what I thought in my mind. So this is about fasting. Foods which are in the mode of goodness, what do? They increase the duration of life, not decrease. Foods in the mode of goodness increase the duration of life. They purify one's existence. They provide strength, health, happiness and satisfaction. These are all simple points. I don't think it needs detailed explanation. Juicy, examples are given. Okay, there's some noise, so you may have to manage them because I'm getting distracted. I can't concentrate with that noise. Juicy, fatty, wholesome and pleasing to the heart. Right? Juicy, fatty, wholesome and pleasing to the heart. Examples are given. Milk, vegetable, sugar, rice, fruits, wheat. Prabhupada also gives the example of baked corn and molasses which is mixed with milk. Like that. And Prabhupada says so much is available, so there is no need to kill animals. To obtain food in the mode of goodness, so much food is there which will provide nourishment to the body as well as the soul. You don't need to kill animals. So that's about the food in the mode of goodness. Food in the mode of passion. Too bitter, sour, salty, hot, pungent, dry and burning. Vegetable kolhapuri. One of my favorite dishes. Prasen Prabhu is from Bombay, so you know, Dadar mein baith veg kolhapuri. Yeah, vada pav with mirchi, masala, tikha wala. Or pani puri. It should burn. Somebody was, where were we having pani puri? Janmashtami. Janmashtami we were having pani puri, no? So you and I were having, you and Rasik Chandra Prabhu. Yeah?
Sunday, not Janmashtami.
So it was not burning enough. So it is something tikha kam hai na, somebody was saying. This is what it is, no? So pani puri means what? The stomach must churn, the eyes must burn. You must get that sensation that as if you have stopped breathing. Then you are eating pani puri. Right? Otherwise, kya pani puri? That's why you eat in the gully. If you eat in the hotels, I have eaten in restaurants also. They will come with a plate and they will keep, bhaiya, duba ke dete. then that is what you want. And it is burning. Bhaiya Hare Dena. Bhaiya Meetha Puri Dena. Last में you want Meetha Puri. Or you want that, what is that called? Save. Sukha Puri. Meetha Puri, बाद में Sukha Puri. Meetha Puri to go on the other side of sweetness, and then Sukha Puri to neutralize. This is human nature. You come back to the original position. You go there, and then you come here, then you are happy. It's a Pani Puri. Like that. So, but Prabhupada says, what is this mode? Mode of passion. It is because of mode of passion. Foods too bitter, sour, salty, hot, pungent, dry, and burning. And Prabhupada says it reduces the mucus in the stomach. What is the role of mucus in the stomach to digest?
Protect the stomach.
Huh?
It provides a lining too, so that the acid doesn't burn up your lining of your stomach.
Oh, okay. So the acid doesn't burn up the lining of the stomach. Okay. So it reduces the stomach, mucus in the stomach, which means you will be impacted by acidity by eating these things. Okay. It happens to me very often. I have hyperacidity, so I know. Still I eat that. What is that? Chill out chili pizza. Gaurango. Which pizza you want? Chill out chili. And every time everyone tells me, don't eat that, next day you get acidity. So no, खाने का टाइम मजा आता है. After that, फिर बात कब देखा जाएगा. So nowadays then I take chill out chili and then take Gelusil. Till I read that Gelusil actually damage your health. I read that somewhere. All these antacids can lead to cancer later on. So, then I stopped eating it. Not pizza, Gelusil. Okay. So, these foods lead to distress, misery and disease. Prabhupada writes that. And why they say misery? Somebody may wonder. So Purijan Prabhu clarifies. Misery refers, it's very funny statement in one sense. Misery refers to the depression one feels after eating. And disease to the results yet to be felt. So foods in the mode of ignorance now. Any food which is cooked 3 hours before being eaten is food in the mode of ignorance. Prabhupada says immediately eat, not for prasadam. Otherwise I know Mataji will feel offended. Especially working women. 3 hours before being eaten, tasteless, decomposed and putrid, remnants, untouchable things, putrid. For example, I heard that somebody was telling that in some country they kill the pigs, is it?
Dogs.
They kill the dogs and then what do?
They put it in a container in front of the house for...
They let the dogs rot in the container and then some juice comes out of that.
They pour water and boil it.
They pour water and boil and then they have soup.
Bhaktivedanta Swami
Bhaktivedanta,
It's a pastime of Bhaktivedanta Swami. He went to Burma and neighbors were complaining when they cooked puri ghee for them, but they were eating this kind of
they were eating this kind of food. Okay. Okay, so this is food in the mode of ignorance. So that's so much for foods. Sacrifices. Sacrifice which is done as duty with respect to the deity is in the mode of goodness. Sacrifice which is done as a duty. Right? Now you may say, why not transcendental? If you worship as duty, what is wrong with that worship?
It's not spontaneous.
So Radhesham Prabhu, in essence of Bhagavad Gita, writes that Lord can be approached in 4 modes. What are the 4 modes? Bhaya, Asha, Kartavya Buddhi, Prem. You can worship the Lord out of fear. You can worship the Lord out of duty. You can worship out of Asha, hope. Or you can worship out of love. Which is transcendental? Love. That's the only way you can worship Krishna and Radharani. Right? So, but still, as a duty, at least you go to the demigods and you worship as duty. Okay? Very duty hai, jana chahiye. Many people talk like that. They say, मंदिर में क्यों जाते हो आप? ड्यूटी है मंदिर में जाना, हमारा संस्कार है, हमारा ड्यूटी है. To thank the Lord, we have come. Some people will say like that. Out of gratitude, we come. Thank you. Like that. हमें कुछ नहीं चाहिए. They will say. So as duty, respect to deity. That's sacrifice in the mode of goodness. Sacrifice in the mode of passion is for material benefit. For example, somebody wants heavenly kingdom, so they will do some sacrifices. So there is a passion, something that is required. For example, one film star, Kareena Kapoor, recently, few months back, went to Siddhivinayak temple and kept all the CDs which he was releasing in front of Lord Ganesh there at his lotus feet. So this is obviously the desire was more CDs will sell, not because there was some special affection developed for Vigna Vinayaka as the divine son of Lord Shiva. Obviously it was not the case, right? So people go there. It is basically people want something. I also used to go there. I used to stand in queue, Prabhadevi queue, on Tuesday. The queue starts at some. कितना बजे शुरू होता है आजकल? I don't know. जाते नहीं but 2:30 ना. तब तक Bombay में. You are from Bombay? You know. You know. You used to go? Never you went there.
Never.
Even SSC results 12th standard never. I used to go. You go for results. Be it in academics or be it in different life, different activities, teenage activities. Then for success in those things, then you go and pray, Lord, that one from my college, like that. So this is for material benefit, mode of passion. You want something, so you are going, or you do worship for pride, a show of religiosity. Show, everything is show bazi. For example, very wealthy people, घनश्याम दास, हर किशान दास के घर में आज लक्ष्मी पूजा हो रही है, मजले भाई सब लोग, all the ladies are all dressed, बहू लोग ऐसे आ रहे हैं, I don't know how to give this example, but there is a movie which was there a few years back, Madhuri Dixit and Salman Khan, I forgot. हम आपके हैं कौन? In that movie you see all that worship is happening like that, people are chan, they are going like that, and all the सब लोग ऐसा big topis they are wearing and then they are worshipping. So when I saw this for pride, show of religiosity, and that's the image that I got. Yeah, all these rich people, wealthy people in their bungalows, they invite people like that, and then बाहर ऐसे पेड़े सब will go around, they will put अख्तर on everyone. Everyone is dressed in gowns and like that, very kurta, ekdam traditional, cultured, but mode of passion, like that. Show of religiosity, as if you are like that. Also that, again that picture came of that, what is it, Amrish Puri, when somewhere he had one red tilak on his forehead, like it's kind of hair behind, and he's worshipping, like that, with his eyes, like that. Show of religiosity. I mean, through movies only you understand all these things, because we don't go into the house of rich people and see. So they are projecting what's happening. Directors are not Krishna. They get ideas by observing the material world. So they are just showing it to you on screen. So these are examples of what happens. These things must be happening somewhere. But still you can see, I know that in my own building there was one very wealthy Gujarati family. I know the way they used to worship. Everything marble, they go, every day morning they'll go out, the whole family will go out, dressed nicely, full gelled hair, black shining hair, silk dhoti, the whole family will go and do Shivlinko, they will put that Bilva Patram and then like that they will worship. And then धंधा ठीक चल रहा है, प्रभु की दुआ है, they will talk like that. धंधा ठीक चल रहा है, प्रभु की इच्छा, like that. So you understand the mood, no? I'm trying to give you, I'm trying to take you there.
The pride they feel.
The pride they feel. It's very difficult to describe in words that thing, but I've seen glimpses of that in my early childhood also. This is mode of passion, mode of ignorance. Disregard of scripture, sacrifices which are completely disregarding the scriptures. So the external world is constantly doing a propaganda against the scriptures. So it can impact us in different ways. You never know how it is going to impact us, from which dimension it will come. Like that. But at the same time, when the same personality, for example, worships God, And then, even if it is a mundane love story, the heroine comes running or she is dead and then she walks alive. Sometimes, many times, some apocryphal stories are there in Bollywood movies. But still the hero is still shown worshipping God. And then your faith goes up. Arey, if Amitabh Bachchan is worshipping on the screen, mere ko kya problem hai? Even though that is not in the Shuddha Sattva, that movie, but still at least it is still reinforcing something in your hearts. For example, I was deeply inspired by Rajnikant. Not when he played all those roles, but Rajnikant's best acting I saw in a movie where he played Raghavendra Swami. I don't know how many of you seen that movie. Anyone saw that movie?
Which one?
Raghavendra Swami. Because Raghavendra Swami was a huge inspiration for them. He's a bona fide Acharya in the Madhva Sampradaya. He's quoted in their scriptures. He's quoted as Prahlad Maharaj's incarnation. And for me today he is very dear. For me, I still, even today morning I was praying there. Whenever I have the most difficulties, I still go to him. Sometimes you have taken care of me even before I was Krishna devotee. You only brought me to the lotus feet of Krishna. So I can never ever forget that. Never I can forget in my lifetime. Okay. So when he played that role, then it actually inspired me to worship Raghavendra Swami more. I said, if such a great personality, and that's one thing which I saw, if these great personalities, film stars, if they become devotional and if they show the right example, it can impact down the line so many people. If they disregard the scripture, then everybody will disregard. If they regard, then fan following him. What is it? Acharya, great men able to come. So they have a lot of power.
The industry is dependent on passionate and ignorant people. You can't present things in more goodness.
Yeah. At least, but if you see the earlier, it was very different. There was always a moral in a movie, even if it was. Nowadays it's crazy. Of course, thankfully we are not seeing all that. Thankfully we are in Krishna consciousness. Otherwise our minds will become very complicated. Okay, so sacrifices disregarding the scriptures. A sacrifice where no prasadam is being distributed is in the mode of ignorance, Prabhupada says. Where no Vedic hymns are being chanted, no dakshina is being given to the priest, or a sacrifice is done but nobody has any faith in that. Whether the fact is, whether you have faith or not is shown by your involvement in that sacrifice. Okay, we are over. There are 3 more points we will cover in the next class. Austerity of body, speech and mind and charity. And then we will complete the chapter in the next class. Today I wanted to complete it. Srila Prabhupada.